and welcome to a ghost-written episode of We Only Look Thin. I am one of your hosts, Donald Weigel, and I have lost about 100 pounds. And with me, as always, is...
Catherine Weigel. I am your wife, and I have lost 145 pounds. And much like another episode recently, we are not doing any work on this episode.
Yeah.
We are just taking a little bit of a vacation, and we have a ghost-written episode by dear listener, Kendra.
Now, it's just saying something is ghost-written doesn't mean that it's actually written by a ghost.
A ghost?
Which would be super cool if that was the case.
Oh my gosh, that would be so fun if we just had like a magic 8-ball that just wrote episodes for us or
that
just
would be,
told us.
It sure would. But we recently solicited for tips of the week from listeners, and we got an amazing email from listener Kendra where she gives about a dozen different tips.
So many tips.
And most of which we've never really touched on before. And we thought it would be really interesting to have a special guest on the episode who wasn't actually on the episode. So,
are we going to use different voices, or are we just going to use our voices? And
yes.
Okay.
Yes,
we'll see where it takes
we're gonna
us.
wing it and see how it goes. Maybe I'll do grandma business again.
Oh no, please don't.
If
I
anybody's been
support
listening
your
for a long
choices.
time, grandma business was something I did a long time ago.
Oh, fun times.
Fun times. But Kendra wrote in and gave us so many tips that we thought we would go through and give them all to you.
Yep. And I think we definitely use our own jokes over and over and over again. So it's actually refreshing to us, too, to maybe have some different perspectives. She talks about MyFitnessPal. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
If you know what it is, let us know.
Yeah, I've never even heard of that before. But in all seriousness, I think it is good to get some new perspectives on some things. And, getting new perspectives on things is what really has helped us to get to our goal weight and maintain, because we get stuck in our own heads, and we sometimes have this tendency to really think that there's only one right way to do something. And stepping outside of that comfort zone and listening to other people and the way that they've accomplished goals can really be helpful to you. Maybe you're saying to yourself, well, the way Donald and Catherine does it doesn't work for me, but is there some other way? And, I think Kendra's got a lot of good ideas here that that maybe we didn't think of, or she does things slightly differently, to accomplish the same goals that we do.
Yeah, I know. I feel like all we do is talk about tzatziki and rebounding. It's
Yeah,
like
that's
the
right.
two weird tricks that people use. There's no talk of rebounding in this episode. There's no talk of tzatziki. So you're getting off easy on this episode. And but we really appreciate the detailed feedback. And we're delighted that it will fill up an entire episode.
Don't tell people that.
I don't know.
But we are. It's pretty great.
No, there are times when I'm just like, hey, Donald, how can we work like jelly beans into an episode title? Like, that'll be
exactly.
fun. This one, this is solid content from Kendra.
The episode Ghost wrote itself, basically.
It did. So, shall we get started?
We shall.
Okay, I will get started now. So, Kendra starts out, hi, Donald and Catherine.
Hi.
Hello. My name is Kendra. We've already talked about that. Why didn't we?
Why are you mentioning it again?
Oh, such a waste of time. And I have lost almost 30 pounds, and I'm currently working on getting to a clean 30 lost, and then maintaining that long enough to join the National Weight Control Registry. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I have been talking about joining that control thing for a long time. I have not done it yet, so I appreciate the reminder.
I probably mention like once every other month, I'm like, I really need to look into that weight control registry, and then I don't actually do anything about it.
Yeah, maybe we can do it after this podcast.
Maybe we can.
Maybe we can. Maybe by the next episode, we will have done it. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so I found your podcast through the R Lose It AMA. Thank you. I'm so glad that you watched that, read it on
Reddit.
That's what it's called.
Yeah,
actually.
exactly.
And listened to the entire show starting from episode 1, and I loved it so much. It is like having two funny, supportive, encouraging, but no nonsense friends in my head all the time. It is.
It really, really
we're
is.
no nonsense, which is weird because we're basically nonsense.
Yeah, it's all
whatever.
nonsense.
I was sad to catch up, but I've been going through another weight loss podcast.
Insert name of other weight loss podcast
redacted
here.
it. I've been listening to that redacted podcast backlog, and that's been helpful as well. But it's lacking in puns and vuvuzela noises. We guarantee that we are the only weight loss podcast that has puns and vuvuzela sounds. Actually, I think, what did we decide that was? That was actually a horn, not a vuvuzela.
Oh, yeah. That was like the DJ air horn noise. Actually, not actually a vuvuzela.
But whatever. We've decided to appropriate the vuvuzela.
Look, it's our show. We can call things whatever we like.
Yeah, ask for your money back. Karen.
Wow.
So without any further ado, here are my general health-related tips that have helped me.
So the first one is 4 steps. If you have a smartwatch/fitness tracker, see if you can get a watch face that shows your current steps and floors of the day right on the watch face so you always know where you're at. Mine used to just buzz if I hit the goal, which is nice, but it didn't motivate me throughout the day to work towards a goal. And I do this all the time. We have, Catherine and I have Fitbits, and you can change the digital watch faces on them. And I have one that I leave set to, I can see my steps for this hour, because I try and get 250 steps every hour throughout the day. For 12 hours of the day. And then it's got my floors right on the watch face. And there are several of them that I rotate through that all have that same information. But I find that if I see it there, it is a reminder to get it, for one, every time I look at the watch. And then two, it's much easier for me to track my progress when all I have to do is look at the face rather than go searching through menus to see how far I've gotten.
Well, and it's definitely a bummer because there are watch faces that are super fun. Maybe they have a cute kitten on them.
Yeah.
Maybe it has like a holiday festive sweater situation going on.
Or a cute kitten wearing a holiday festive sweater.
Fun. If it had a Steelers sweater on, that would just be perfect.
That would be really good.
But there are watch faces that have very limited data, and it looks nice, but it doesn't have the content. And I totally agree with Kendra that having all of those details right on your watch face that you can just click away. I'm actually not wearing my Fitbit right now. I'm charging it because we're podcasting, and I looked at my watch to pretend to scroll through my wrist.
She scrolled through screens on her wrist.
Yeah, so I totally agree. Good one, Kendra.
Thank you, Kendra.
Okay, and this one's from Kendra.
Oh, also from Kendra.
Okay, for steps. Bounce on a yoga ball or dance in place during work calls. Even if you don't have a rebounder, that will be the only mention of a rebounder in this episode, aside from the ones that we just had.
Rebounder. Oh, wait, I said it again.
Doing the waltz or salsa or some other repetitive dance movement or stepping back and forth will get your steps up while you stay in the same spot, paying attention to whatever slide deck is happening. This does not work for Zoom calls. People will see that, but definitely...
well, you just turn your camera off, which I actually have done at work, and I've gotten steps while, like, I put myself on mute, turn my camera off, and then I'll get steps while the call is going on.
That's awesome. I had to do my annual compliance training for workplace safety and
I have
whatever.
one of those coming up, actually. It's almost due.
I had 7 of them due, and I won't say rebounded. I bounced in place.
I bounced in place on a mini trampoline.
On a mini trampoline.
Which is not called a rebounder.
No. Well, we can do whatever we want. We can say rebound as much as we would like. But doing that while watching the video messages was really helpful. Definitely got in some steps. So I am all about getting in steps. Our dear friend Nicole, friend of the podcast, friend of friends, talked about being on conference calls and walking around her house, which I was like, that's not fitness. You can't do that. That doesn't count as anything. Turns out she gets like 30,000 steps a day. So who's laughing now?
Well, I think this is a perfect example too. Like, we talk a lot about rebounding and getting steps, but bouncing on a yoga ball or dancing in place are things that I've never thought of, but perfectly excellent ways to get steps. And a really good use of your time when you're on a conference call that you can still kind of pay attention to, but not actually have to 100% focus on or talk on.
Yeah. Paulette, who is in multiple plays, WLT Place. She was at her family's house recently, and they had one of those under table peddler deals. I'm very articulate.
Yeah, I have never heard of an under-table pedaler deal, but I like the sound of it.
No, it looks like little pedals that you can move your feet on.
Yeah.
Non-exercise activity, thermogenesis, getting in a little bit of movement while you're sitting really matters. So I agree. Just keep on moving.
Yeah, maybe I should look into one of those. That actually would be a pretty good idea under my desk.
My concern is that my desk would need to be higher because I would keep hitting my knees on the bottom of the desk.
Maybe. But we'll see if we can figure that out. So the next tip from Kendra is dealing with getting extra protein. She says you can combine a protein shake and overnight oats for a delicious protein-filled and convenient snack or small meal. I said it that way because she put an exclamation point at the end of it. I pre-measure out a serving of oats and a serving of chocolate protein powder into a leak-proof Tupperware or mason jar, and then when I want some, I just add milk and shake it. The oats act like a shaker ball to stir the shake and give it a nice texture, and the protein powder brings the flavor and the protein.
Also, shaking it is non-activity.
I know.
Thermogenesis.
Or it's just activity, burning calories.
Yeah, you're shaking it like a Polaroid picture.
Maybe you could also waltz or salsa while you were shaking it.
Or add salsa to the powder, too.
You went too far. You took it too far.
No, but we're not big on the oats personally. But this podcast is for everyone. And if you're an oat folk, then this is a way to get it done. Yeah,
for sure. This may be a way to pack some protein into your day in a what would otherwise appear to be a proteinless snack.
Yeah, no, I totally am up for adding protein in interesting ways. So that was a good one. There's another protein-packed tip coming your way just now.
What?
There is.
There can't be more than one tip about getting protein into your day.
Protein. So her next one is add canned chicken breast to finished recipes. My boyfriend is vegetarian, so I don't like cooking whole recipes with meat, but I can easily add a serving of canned chicken to almost any kind of soup or burrito bowl or whatever thing I made for both of us, and it tastes good. I love it. That's it. I love it. So this tip, I think, really falls into the kind of doctor pump up the volume situation because I do that for my daughter who eats meat and occasionally for Donald who does not eat meat. So I made chicken soup the other night from a container and I added additional chicken to it to pump up the volume. I also added corn. Very exciting. And I also made a side of pasta. So I could measure out the pasta into her bowl, our daughter's bowl, and then add a specific portion to my bowl too, so that it wasn't like, oh no, how much pasta am I getting? How am I supposed to know? I could add that, and that really helped. And
for those of you who might be new listeners, pump up the volume is pronounced pump up the volume. And what we're talking about there is adding very low calorie things like salsa, tomatoes, mushrooms, onions, things that really are low calorie but can fill you up, to other items to really spread them out. Adding cauliflower to mac and cheese, for example, can really stretch it out, and you get a lot more food for the same calories.
Yeah, so if I'm making sautéed vegetables, I can make it vegetarian, but then add a animal protein if I want it, or Donald can have it vegetarian. So it's not like we're tied to that final product.
And then Dr. is taking recipes that you know and love and altering them to make them lower calorie and more friendly to your diet and exercise plan.
Yeah, so I love it.
Our next tip is also about protein.
What more protein?
How much protein can one person get? It turns out a lot.
3 protein.
She says, I recently discovered a single-serving microwave soup, which means heating up chicken stock in a microwave-safe bowl with any combination of eggs, frozen wontons, soft tofu, spinach, miso paste, and so on. It's very easy to get a warm, comforting, tasty, brothy soup with a lot of protein, but very few calories that way. This one I might actually try. I'm not a chicken soup person, as I am also a vegetarian like Kendra's boyfriend, but doing like a nice veggie broth. I love a brothy soup.
Especially in these cold winter months, sweater weather.
And I'm all about the tofu, the spinach, the miso paste. All of that sounds pretty tasty to me.
Well, that would be cool too if you chopped up, I'm giving you homework, chopped up some tofu and had it kind of ready to go, and then you could just bang, boom it together.
Yeah, for sure. And I could probably even just take that to work and do it in the microwave at work.
Yeah, for sure.
Good times.
So the next one is about water.
Water? I've heard of water.
I have too. This is one that we do. So we're on board with Kendra. Change your water filter, Brita filter specifically, frequently. Yeah. Sometimes I notice that I haven't been drinking as much water as usual because it gradually has started to taste worse without me realizing it. And when I change the filter, I'm suddenly motivated to drink water again. Yes.
Yes, indeed. And I actually have a reminder on my calendar to change it regularly. We have a filter on our tap, and then we have a Brita in the refrigerator that we fill up all the time. And I have reminders that to change them regularly, and it really does make a difference. Plus, also, not just changing the filter, but really washing the heck out of your filter, of your pitcher. It does just have water in it, but stuff does build up in there if you don't wash it regularly.
Yeah, and bad tasting water just is no way to go through life.
No, for sure.
I don't think our friends listen to this podcast, so I can talk about it. We have friends who don't use filtered water, and then when we go to visit, they just give us tap water, and the horror and dread I have is just terrible. So
it's like drinking sadness.
Yeah, it's drinking sadness. I have snuck water into the house, like in a separate duffel bag, and hide it in our guest room and drink it in secret so that they don't know that I'm not drinking their water, because it's terrible. And you want to be a nice guest and not complain, but ew.
Well, I have been known to bring small coolers with some cans of sparkling water in them to gatherings at other people's houses, just to make sure that I have something that I really like to drink that's not full of calories.
Yeah, I'm just a water snob. I can't. I think someone came to visit us and went to the tap for water, and it was like someone
no, don't do that.
But I did like a slow-mo, like, no.
Like you jumped in front of their glass to take the bullet.
But I guess I feel a little bit like a snob. They're like, I'm just drinking a little water. Like, you cannot do that. You've got to triple filter it.
Yeah, exactly.
Anywho.
So the next one is for general eating better. And I can't believe I've never thought of this one before, but it really makes so much sense. It is keep the kitchen clean.
What?
Like, what does keeping the kitchen clean have to do with eating better? Well, she says, I make bad food choices when I go in the kitchen and I have a whole bunch of dishes to get done before I even think about what I want to eat. Even if I can't keep it all the way clean, just focusing on having clean silverware and at least a clean bowl and plate helps a lot. And I've never really made this connection before, but it's so true. If I go in the kitchen and there's already a lot of dishes, then I don't really want to make more dishes too. And so that will influence what I decide to grab, something that maybe not as filling, but much more convenient, that doesn't create a dirty dish, may not be the best way to go, but actually keeping up on the dishes and keeping it clean can really influence what you're eating.
Yeah, I know for me, I definitely get overwhelmed by clutter and dishes. And I don't really do meal planning for the week because it kind of ties into how messy is the kitchen, how much work do I have to do, what kind of time do I have. So I definitely do meals that are super easy with no mess. Like I'll make steamed wontons or something like that because I know I won't have a lot of dishes to do. But I think having a clean space makes it much more easy. Like even if our refrigerator is super cluttered and messy, I'm like, I don't want to even open it.
I know.
Let's just get takeout.
Just even remembering like that you bought fruit that's sitting in the back of the refrigerator, can be difficult sometimes if you don't keep it organized in there.
Yeah, I was cleaning out the freezer the other day and I was like, I didn't even know that this was back here. Like, look at all the food we have.
Yeah, exactly.
So organizing your clutter, I think, is a great tip of the week.
Tip of the week to you.
Tip of the week to you. Okay, so I've got one for mindset and motivation during weight loss.
And this one is from, Kendra. Also.
Let's say it's from Kendra. While losing weight, have at least one nice outfit that you feel good in and lets you see the progress you've made. I would have thought that baggy clothes would make me feel proud of myself, but mostly it just felt weird and uncomfortable to have something that used to fit or even be tight to feel loose, and I couldn't always tell whether something fit the way it was supposed to. I like thrift stores for shirts, dresses, and jackets. Then either order smaller sizes of jeans that I already like, or get forgiving stretchy pants like leggings so I don't have to be as careful about the fit. So for me, I definitely used to hold on to 5 different sizes just in case I went up the scale or down the scale like I was a musical instrument. Not a great thing to have lots of baggy clothes around because I tend to fill the space that I'm given.
Exactly. And we did an episode about how important it is to have clothes that fit you. I know that when I would wear a pair of jeans that was too tight on me, I would just feel miserable all the time, and I would think negative thoughts about myself all the time. But having something that I'm comfortable in is actually sort of freeing and motivating. And so when you're going down the scale, when the scale is going in the right direction, having clothes that really make you feel good in them so that you can see your progress, I think is important. And it's a good mental boost, if nothing else.
Yeah. And I love the idea of the thrift stores. I know for me, I just joined our local Buy Nothing group on Facebook.
Oh, yeah. You joined it, and you joined it hard.
Oh, boy. It is so fun. Maybe this is its own tip of the week, but I heard on the Gretchen Rubin Happier podcast that there is, go to the website buynothing.org. It is worldwide. I was going to say universal, but I'm not sure about the Martians and their buy nothing thing. But you join the group and people just post things for free. So sometimes it's clothing, furniture, whatever. And people are giving away amazing finds. I don't know if it's specifically because of COVID. People aren't really having yard sales or don't want to go to consignment stores.
Yeah.
But it's usually contactless pickup. People are getting rid of dresses and jackets and jeans. And it's been a great way to repopulate and redistribute clothing.
It's been a great way to get a lot of stuff out of our place, too.
Oh, my gosh. It's been so fun.
And you don't make any money on it, but it's still just really freeing to have stuff to get it out of the house and not have it sitting around.
Yeah, but I used to think, I gave away an entire trunk full of clothing to someone at one point because I didn't know what else to do with it. And being able to give away high quality clothing to people in need is really fun and super, super cool. So I'm all about just keeping your closet full of clothes that make you feel good and not make you feel dread. Clothing is not a punishment. It's not, I actually got rid of a pair of jeans that I've just decided after 2 years probably aren't going to fit. So felt good to get them out of the house.
Absolutely. Okay, our next tip from Kendra is for managing calories. She says, I try to follow the 80-20 or the 90-10 rule for fun food versus nutritious food that helps me meet my goals. So I'm assuming what she means here is not eating 80% fun food and 20% nutritious food.
I think the math is
pretty sure it's the other way around, which I've never thought of it in those terms, but I try and do the same thing. She says, so I named one of my meals on MyFitnessPal desserts and junk.
Desserts and junk.
Desserts and junk.
It's
and
fun.
Then any kind of treat gets logged into that meal, no matter what time of day I eat it. I can then go look at my calorie breakdown for the week and see what % of my food came from treats. This has really helped me find a balance between feeling like I needed to restrict all treats and just eating everything I felt like, no matter how it made me feel physically and emotionally. I think this is great. So, instead of having breakfast, lunch, dinner, or a snack, you create a category called treats and junk, or
treats
whatever you want to call it. I know Catherine gave me a tip once where whenever she goes out and has a meal out and doesn't know what to call it, she just has a line item called all the food.
All the food. That is my...
And estimates 3,000 calories for it, or depending on what it is.
Each unit of all the food is 1,500 calories.
Yeah.
So I could have 2 units of all the food, which would be 3,000 calories, or half a unit of all the food, which is 750 calories.
Yeah, but in order to keep this 80-10 or 80-20 or 90-10 rule of fun food versus nutritious food, you can really see how you're doing if you have an easy category like this in MyFitnessPal or Fitbit or whatever app you're using to track, or even just, good old pen and paper to track your calories. It makes it very easy to see.
Yeah. And in Fitbit, you can track breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then snacks as morning, afternoon, or evening. So I tend to put my snack food under the evening category, my after dark category, which helps me see where that treat is going. So usually I save my more indulgent sweet treats for my evening. So if you're in that, but we don't use MyFitnessPal. It's good to know about MyFitnessPal.
It sure is. I really should download and use MyFitnessPal at some point just to see what it's like. I'm just like, Fitbit came with the Fitbit, and I've just used it for, since I first got it, and I've never even really bothered checking out any of the other ones.
Yeah, I like Fitbit. Like I said, even if, I'm not going to write a strongly worded letter because something is actually 420 calories, not 440 calories. So I'm fine if it's a little bit off. It's fine. I don't micromanage it. Okay, so next one. For body image and finding a goal weight.
Yeah.
If it's financially feasible, I like alliteration.
Yeah.
That's me. That's not Kendra. Try getting a DEXA scan or something like that to get an objective view of yourself. I have been overweight since I hit puberty, so I struggled to choose a goal weight because I didn't have any previous healthy adult weight to work towards. Same. I wasn't sure how much of what my body looked like was because of the extra weight and how much was just my frame and bone structure. And previous body image struggles meant I couldn't be an objective judge. I totally get all of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Getting the scan and seeing a specific body fat percentage, as well as an x-ray that showed where my fat was distributed, helped me figure out some of those things. That's awesome. I've totally seen those DEXA scans.
Well, and when we interviewed our friend Rebecca on that episode, she talked about having a DEXA scan and how it was helpful to her, too.
Well, and I know I used to think I was big boned. Turned out I was big portioned. I'm probably medium build, I think, but definitely seeing those DEXA scans. We haven't done them, but I think it's something that's in our future, maybe post-COVID doing them. Seeing what portion of your body is actually fat, water weight, bone structure, I think really does help. We have a scale that estimates body fat percentage.
Yeah.
So if you can do that, I think that that's a really great kind of way to see where you're. I know you can't lose weight in specific areas. You need to tone to slim down. But I think having a DEXA scan is a great idea.
And, we've talked about before how much it sort of was just a guessing game almost on what our goal weights ought to be. I set a goal weight just sort of randomly that I thought I would never, ever hit. And then when I got there, I realized I still had probably another, 30 pounds to lose after that. And so I readjusted. But, using a tool like this, if you have the option to do it, could be a really good idea.
Yeah.
So the next tip from Kendra is for managing food triggers. She says, try getting a slightly healthier or less triggery version of the food you have trouble with. And we talked about this on the last episode a little bit.
Yeah.
I do this with getting stove popcorn instead of the microwave bag, so it's more work. Getting the whole wheat protein pancake mix and pre-portioning the mix into little jars so I only make one pancake at a time. That's a really great idea.
That is some A+ activity right there.
Getting the natural peanut butter, so you have to stir and reduce and get the reduced sugar jam so that I can still have peanut butter sandwiches, but I'm not tempted to binge on the peanut butter itself and the jam. And getting boring gummy vitamins made of fruit juice instead of the really tasty sugar-coated ones that make me want to eat the entire container.
Oh my gosh, those like chocolate. I'm not one for vitamins too much, but seeing those ones that are like the chocolate chews, and you don't need to make it better tasting for me.
Yeah, if your vitamins are causing you to want to binge food, you're definitely having the wrong vitamins.
You know
at that
what?
Point.
I'm a Flintstones kid.
Yeah.
1 million strong and growing, mostly in my belt size. I used to totally eat so many Flintstone vitamins and thinking that every Wilma was making me a stronger kid. Turns out, full of sugar and deliciousness.
Yeah, and we talked about recently how microwave popcorn, like, air pop popcorn is a pretty healthy treat, but microwave popcorn can have a huge amount of calories in it. And so, not all popcorn is created equal, just as a good example. And Catherine has talked about, we mentioned it on the last episode. She loves pot pies. I mean, who doesn't?
We have one friend who doesn't, and I think she needs some sort of help
for sure.
somehow.
And there are brands out there that are almost too tasty and make you want to eat and eat. And then there's like the one that's just good, which satisfies that pot pie feeling without making you want to keep binging and binging.
Well, and I went to the grocery store with our daughter last night. I have an Oreo problem. They're just really super hyper palatable, which is an actual thing that they do in laboratories to make food taste delicious.
Which is really interesting because, I really like Oreos, but I could have one or two and just be fine. Like, right. I wouldn't need to eat the whole container of those.
But here's the thing. Our daughter also likes the vanilla or like the white, yellow.
Nilla wafers. Yeah.
And so she almost got Oreos last night, and I was really nervous about that because I was like, I can't even have one of them because they trigger whatever. It's not even like they're delicious to me. They just make me want to eat them all.
Yeah.
They do it. It's not me.
They did it to me. They got in my brain, made me tell lies.
Yeah. But our daughter was like walking by the cookies. We wanted to have cookies in the house. I was like, all right, well, I just won't have any Oreos. And then she was like, ooh, Nilla wafers. Oh, they're so good. And I was like, sure. Are you like a 90-year-old? Who like she also loves, her favorite candy is Werther's.
And she likes white chocolate a lot. I don't know. We've got a good friend who's the same way. I don't know what it is about that, palate type.
I am grateful that our daughter likes foods that I don't. So
she
ended up getting the Nilla wafers and then spent about 20 minutes campaigning us to eat Nilla wafers last night. And I was like,
she was really selling them hard. Like she had stock in Nilla wafers and was trying to get us to get on board.
Nilla? Nilla is short for vanilla. It's like, you save so much time.
Yeah.
I don't really care about Nilla wafers.
Yeah.
I could eat one, but they don't trigger me. I could work in a Twizzler factory. I'm never going to eat a Twizzler. I enjoy having foods in the house that are they're good, they're fine, but they're not super triggery. So I am on board with Kendra's suggestion.
Yes, thank you, Kendra.
Oh, and here's another one from Kendra.
It's the final Kendra tip, actually.
The final Kendra. Do-do-do-do.
Wow.
You know what I was actually I was going to do like Kendra. Kendra.
Wow.
Like the whole Kendra struck.
No, I get it.
Like AC/DC, our favorite band.
Yeah. Kendra struck.
Angus Young.
Yeah.
Anybody?
Should we call this episode Kendra struck?
Sure, why not? We can do what we want. Let's see. She didn't actually tell us what to name the episode, so I think this is our time.
Yeah, this is where we have to do the work to come up with the episode title. Yeah.
That's the longest part of this whole job is just coming up with titles. Okay, so here is the last one for managing leftovers. Not familiar with the term. Had to look it up. Turns out people don't eat all the food.
Yeah, that's weird.
I have designated a person who has never had a weight problem. Must be nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've designated a person who hasn't had a weight problem and wants any leftover treats or food I don't want. So if I'm worried about eating more of something than I planned, before I can get the food to him, I text him a picture of the package so he can see how much is left. So before she eats it, hey, I'm going to give you half of this. Great stuff. Then if I eat more than planned, he gets disappointed that he doesn't get his entire portion.
Yeah.
And then that motivates me enough to not eat the entire problem food. So if she's like, hey, I'm going to give you half of my pizza. And then she's like, oh, but if I eat all of it, then he gets no pizza. Then I've let him down. So she must be maybe an obliger who likes that outer accountability.
Exactly. And, maybe, having a person in your life who has, you want to give leftovers to, who has never had a weight problem, maybe that is not reasonable for you. But this is just a great example of outer accountability and how to reach out to a friend, a neighbor, a colleague, a family member, and find some way to have that help that person to help you work accountability into your life.
Okay, I also have 2 fun anecdotes that I'm going to share now.
I can't wait. I love fun anecdotes.
So our daughter wanted to make a red velvet cake at one point. I did a little bit of math and found out that cake had 10,000 calories in it.
Yeah.
Delicious, delicious calories.
Oh, my goodness. That's like a bloomin' onion.
Oh, my gosh. It was so much. So I didn't want to not make the cake with her, but what we did do is we portioned out a quarter of the cake and then took the rest of the cake to our fit neighbor who happens to be a personal trainer.
Yeah.
He used to, in the before times, he would have a weekly meeting of guys. And so we gave him the cake so he could share it with the guys.
Yeah.
Now, we're not saying share your treats with people who also have weight issues, but if you do know someone who doesn't have a weight issue, maybe give your food to them.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Fun aside number 2, in the Buy Nothing group that I'm in, and we live in a heavily populated area, and please practice safety, and I'm not saying just randomly take food from strangers, but there is someone in the group who often makes chilies and soups and has leftovers, and will be like, hey, I've got 2 quarts of chicken soup, here are the ingredients, if you're interested, come over and take them. It is great. I'm like, people are just giving away food on the internet. What a time to be alive.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you make something and know that you have an extra portion, before you eat your portion, put it in a container and maybe put it in the freezer so that you can't eat it, or offer it up on one of these Buy Nothing groups. I'm not saying like, hey, I've got 1 pizza crust. Anybody want it? Up for grabs. But if you have a giant portion of something, or even if you go to Costco and get a giant portion of something that you don't need, give away half of it on the Buy Nothing group. There are people doing that left and right. Free things happening all around you might not even know about.
Yes, indeed.
That's my fun fact number 2. So now we're giving a bonus tip at the very end that ties into that extra food category. We are in a season of extra food right now. If you are listening to this, like we said, and you still have Halloween candy, it is November candy. Get rid of it. Nobody needs it. Everybody else that you know has extra candy right now. Nobody needs it.
Yeah,
it is okay
sure.
to throw it in the trash. We are getting to, in the US, we are getting into the Thanksgiving time. There is going to be many opportunities for leftovers, and you don't want to get rid of it. Please, please, please don't be like me and just make 5 pounds of mashed potatoes for 2 people, which I definitely did in the past because you want leftovers for 12 days.
Yeah.
Get rid of the food. Make a smaller portion. You're going to be satisfied with your delicious meal. Get rid of it. Please don't give up all of your goals through November and December. We've all done it before. We've all said, this is the year that I'm not going to do it. And then January comes around and you finally face the scale again and you're up 10 pounds. Don't be like me and make it take 10 months to lose the 10 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
Which it is exactly what has happened literally the last 2 years. Am I going to break the chain this year? I don't know. I really do hope so.
I think you can do it.
But don't use leftover food as a loophole. I don't want to waste it. It would be a shame to waste it. We are people who have disordered eating habits. And if we invoke the don't waste the food loophole, we're just going to be full of regret and probably some extra weight at the holidays, which we totally don't need.
For sure.
Let other people worry about leftovers if you have trouble having them around the house. Enjoy, indulge, but remember, Thanksgiving's a day, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Hanukkah, fine, manage that, but don't use it as 50 plus days to overindulge and then be full of regret.
Yes, indeed. And that last bit was actually written by us / Catherine.
Which is why it was inarticulate. There wasn't one alliteration in there, unlike Kendra's.
Not at all. But the rest of the episode, thank you so much to Kendra for writing in. If you would like to write in and basically fill an episode with content, we would love to hear from you. You can reach us at weonlylookthin@gmail.com, and we will also answer your questions. We love your tips, your tricks. We will get back to you eventually. It may not be right away, but we do always answer. And if you've got episode topics that you would like us to cover and that we haven't gone over, we'd love to hear from you there too. And really, really thank you so much, Kendra, for writing in and giving us so many great tips from your perspective.
Yes, you made it easy for us. But if you need a little extra accountability at the holiday season, you can join us at Wolt Place, WOLT Place.
Yeah.
It is an accountability group for women. It is not a weight loss plan, but it is a support group where you can be supported by other women going through similar challenges. We have maintainers. We have people who are just starting their journeys, but it is a safe and wonderful place to share your needs during the holiday season and all year round, all 12 months out of a year. You can find out more about Wolt Place by going to our website, weonlylookthin@gmail.com, and click on Join Our Support Group for more information.
Yeah, and if you sign up for a 1-month membership, you get a complimentary 3-day trial to see if you like it. And if you sign up for a 3-month membership, you get a complimentary 7-day trial.
And if you don't need extra accountability, you can also find us on the socials at Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at We Only Look Thin.
Yes, indeed. And you can find all of our episodes wherever you found this one. They're also on our website if it's easier for you to listen on the internet. And if you wouldn't mind doing us a favor, it would really help us out if you go to Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating and a review. It helps people find us. It boosts us in search results, and it also boosts our egos.
It does. And we are 13 star reviews away from 400. Can we get to 400 by New Year? There's
hopefully
be
by
15.
the time we post this, we'll be over 400.
Oh, please be one of the stars, or 5 of the stars, as it were. That would be super great.
That'd be super great indeed.
So if you still don't know the difference between desserts and junk and a DEXA scan, just remember that Donald and I are, and Kendra are an inspiration.
The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.